First, there's a Duchess in Dusseldorf tonight as Meghan jetted into the German city to join hubby Harry at the Invictus Games. Wasting no time at all, she took to the stage, apologising for being late to the party. I mean, it's very clear the image that she's going. Let's unpick this as we would say.
There's a lot to unpack here.
There's a lot to unpack. I mean, it's very clear the image that she's aiming to portray. It was an off-the-cuff, unscripted, allegedly, no auto-cue speech. So she's painting herself as somebody who can do that. Then all the mumsy, wholesome, I was putting the kids to bed and giving them extra milkshakes. There's a very clear message there. I'm just a girl next door kind of mum.
No staff,
doing it all on my own.
Only 19 bathrooms.
Having said all of that, I don't want to be too cynical when it comes to the Invictus Games, because I think we all agree that is a good thing, and it's a good thing that Harry's done, and it would be weird if she wasn't there supporting the best thing on his CV, the best thing that he's got to his name. So I don't want to be completely poo-pooing.
Where do I start? I don't know what goes on in these meetings that they have before they go on air, or what goes on in these people's head. But everything does not have to be a thing. You found an issue with her saying that she was taking care of her kids. And then the other lady said something about a nanny when all of them have nannies. But that doesn't mean that you're not taking care of your kids. Also, what does these 16 bathrooms have to do? First off, why are they constantly bringing up the fact that Meghan and Harry has a home that they're paying for out of their own money, yet they are always silent about the fact that they're paying for how many palaces, castles, a whole family that really does nothing but cut ribbons and smile and lie and pretend and backstab. But you're worrying about people who make their own money, their own way, good, bad, win or fail. They're making it their own way and their own talent and their own skills. Why do you care? You're over in a whole different country. And if you see a pattern, and there's always a certain look. Not always. 98% of the times, there's always a certain look of people who just always attack Meghan. But it gets more interesting because she said she doesn't want to poo-poo on it, but you just poo-pooed on something that was just an innocent speech. Before I get to the next clips, I also want to point out something that she said, something about Meghan doing an impromptu speech. Meghan is an actress. She was a theater major. She's a very well-spoken woman. She knows how to speak. So it wouldn't surprise me if Meghan just know how to just impromptu just say and make a speech off her head. They always look for an angle. They're always cynical about something. And this is what I want to point out. And this is why I did this whole ridiculous segment in the first place. There's a lot of people who on social media feels that some of the content creators shouldn't respond to a lot of these negative segments, stories, or whatever. They have a point, which is why I personally pick and choose what stories I respond to. But the issue that I have with that whole ideology is that you're thinking about it from your circle, your bubble. I'm not thinking about it from that way, because even though we all know these things, the majority of the world is not aware of what's happening with the press, how the UK press acts, how they respond. You guys are thinking about it from just your standpoint, and there's a whole bigger world out there. My thing is this is dangerous. These small little nuggets, how innocently, how annoying, how irrelevant it may seem, these things play on people's psyche. These things play on people that we already know have some sort of mental imbalance. This is feeding into that frenzy. And the problem is that there is a bigger mainstream media that is ignoring this problem, where I feel like one day, if it is not nipped in the bud now and today, or we don't make people aware of these things, there's going to be a whole bunch of people who's going to be surprised if something terribly happens. And I'm not wishing that, and I hope it doesn't happen. But we see, as Sussex people who support Meghan and Harry, we see exactly the danger that this is going to happen, or the dangers of this possibly playing on their lives and the people surrounding them.
But there's just something that
I'm
gets
not
up
sure
the nose.
what you can poo-poo in that.
Yeah.
She does take the kids to school. There's two parents. One's flown across the world. It makes sense for her to want to stay and try and get the kids. They're still very young. Try and get them calm. And they'll be left the nanny, maybe the grandma will be there, whatever. But what she's saying makes sense. But we're still going to try and poo-poo it for no reason.
I'm
She's
not gonna,
being a parent.
even I'm not going to poo-poo it. You know, let's just give him a break for once. The Invictus Games is great. Good for Harry for being right behind it, for creating it and promoting it. And there were doubts that she might even join him in Germany, and I'm glad she has. So, you know, even I'm going to say, come on, leave it out. Let
Come
them
on.
do it. You know, what the hell?
I'm
Come on.
absolutely shocked right now.
What are you going to say? What's bad about
Well,
that?
this is the thing, is that what is bad about that? You know, she's like, I'm a mum. I was doing mum stuff. And let me tell you, if it was Kate and William up there, the Prince and Princess of Wales, and if Princess Catherine had said the same thing, oh, you know, I was doing mum stuff, everybody would be like, what a wonderful mother she is. Isn't she glorious?
But don't you think that the difference is she wouldn't say it?
Yeah,
No,
she
she would say it. And she has talked about family life
Of
before.
course, she's talked about
Yeah,
family life
so she
before.
probably
I think
would say
it's the
it.
way you do it. Is when you say.
Okay, notice in the beginning of that last clip, this one says there's just something about the... We're going to get to that because someone else says that exact same thing again, and we already know what coded language is really behind that word or that statement. And also, is it me, or they love to just erase Archie a little bit? Like, it's like they don't even consider that factor in the way Meghan and Harry, especially Meghan, how they maneuver and how much they do. Mind you, Kate does the exact same thing. Like, she rarely does any type of, like, you know, royal stuff because she wants to be present for her kids. I remember seeing the segment where that is a known fact that Kate, she doesn't really travel too far from their palace or whatever you want to call it because she wants to be present when the kids come home. So, lady, what are you talking about? And shout out to JJ, even though I have my issues with him, I just feel like he teeters that fence too much for me. Yeah. But shout out to him for actually, like, calling it out. Like, what can you poop on his speech? It was, what did she say that was just so horrible where you had to pick apart and dissect it? And Affair is always great, but the thing about Affair is, and I can't blame her, and this is especially for people of color, that the people of color in the UK media is so slim that they always, I feel like, have to kind of be careful with how they respond to things because they know that they're out of a job and they do have families. So I can't be mad that they don't go as far as I would like them to be. They don't go as far as I would like them to go, but they're in this sticky situation. But nonetheless, even the guy with the glasses, I don't really care about. All of them was like, well, what is it there to, like, pick apart? But it's always a look. It's always an aesthetic. Just remember that there's always an aesthetic. So when the people come from Meghan, it's always the same aesthetic. Always.
Family.
The problem is that it's Meghan, and the problem is Meghan, and the problem is that everybody wants to pick at Meghan and what she does or does not do.
I'll tell you why, Afi. It's because she, I mean, again, cut them some slack. There's nothing wrong with this. There's nothing wrong with their little speech. But as you indicate, Penny, there is something about that is just always irritating. But I'm not going to be irritated. I refuse to be.
I like after he said that, this look that Affair had on her face, it was just like, you can just tell she's just tired. I can only imagine what happens behind the scenes. And congratulations, sir. Congratulations for you controlling your own... You guys can complete that sentence for me. You guys who are watching, you can complete that sentence. Congratulations to this man for controlling his own. There's an R word for this. There's a B word for this. There's a P word for this. You see where I'm going. What exactly? What is it about Meghan? What is it? You know, and that's what's crazy about this whole thing, that I don't even think they and those other two losers, idiots, even realize the language that they be using. Like, they don't even get it. They're so hell-bent on trying to convince themselves that it is something else. There's another reason why they can't stand Meghan. There's another reason, or the thing. They're trying to convince themselves so hard that that's what it really is. No, it's not that. We all know what it is.
Coincidence? Possibly not. Princess of Jails, we're talking, we're referring to her, 'cause here she is visiting a prison. Spot the new haircut. She's got new bangs, as the American would say, new fringe. So this was Kate visiting a prison in Surrey, talking to inmates about addiction. She gamely grinned as she endured a search by a prison guard with a drug detection dog. You see that? Look, she does look quite funny there. She's being
So we've got
sniffed.
security checks. It's not Wandsworth.
It's not Wandsworth.
And that dog is
It's
called
not
Penny.
And if you look very closely there, we probably can't zoom in, but her right hand is bandaged because she's had an accident. There you go. On the trampoline. So again, with the kids. So again, that is a reference there to her being a normal mum, jumping up and down
so
on the
ridiculous.
trampoline.
Like earlier, we were talking about this upstairs, and Penny was saying, praising her for walking in high heels.
No.
And the press today was saying, oh, she's so strong going out with a bandage on her hands. She's wearing a few
Hold on a
plasters.
second. Can I just say,
I'm sorry. I just fell asleep. That just put me to sleep. What's funny is that it never fails when they make something or use something to criticize Meghan. Literally in the same block or segment that they're doing, they will praise Kate for the exact same thing. The insanity. That lady literally just criticized Meghan for speaking about being a mom when she just praised Kate for being a mom. Like, what? There is literally something wrong with the UK media. Like, I keep saying this. I feel like I'm a broken record. I am a broken record at this point. But there's literally something wrong. The relationship with the media and the royal family is so freaking weird and dangerous that I just feel like, am I watching Russian propaganda news channels or something? Like, that's how I be feeling sometimes. I always just, every time I look at stuff like this, I always just wonder and just question, where are we headed? Like, what is the end game? When would all this stop? Like, when? How? And the only thing I keep going back to is just the situation when, I'm not even going to say Diana. I can just go back to just several people who have this level of attention. Public figures that's always had this level of attention over the years, decades, before I was born, when I was born, and probably when after I'm alive. I can say most of the time it is always ending tragically. And as much as irrelevant as this segment may seem to some people, this is just, it's not. It's really not. That you have to stop looking at it from that standpoint, because it is playing on something that is happening in the undercurrent, and it's getting bigger because they keep festering in it. It's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Because this right here was the most ridiculous thing I've seen in a long time with these journalists from the UK. As funny as it is, and as sad as it is, I'm more scared than I am laughing at it. Because just go in the comment sections of this video. I'm gonna put in my link and you will see.